Alexander Neibaur Journal, 1841 to 1845. Alexander Neibaur, 1808 to 1883. Journal, 1841 to 1845. Holograph, CHL. Spelling and punctuation modernized. 1841. Page 1, February 5, 1841. Left Preston, Lancashire, England, in company my wife, 3 children, and a number of others for Liverpool to embark on board the ship the Sheffield bound for New Orleans. We left Preston by the 20 minutes past 8 o'clock train, reached Lancashire about 10:30, went directly on board the ship where we found a number emigrants of the ship all in an uproar, luggage, men, women and children all huddled together. A number of us went to the Hargraves Railway office for our luggage, got this on board, got something from the cook shop for our families as it was very cold, went to bed at dark. February 6. As soon as daylight began to grow, all began to be live again. The passengers began to stir, some went to purchase provisions, some lemons, some salt fish, soap, candles, and tea. I went to see a friend of mine, Mr. Hawke. He was very glad to see me and particular so that I had made up my mind to emigrate. He gave me a present for my wife, a boa, a muff for my daughter, and a pair of fur gloves for myself, wished me a safe arrival, that the Lord might me prosper toward dark. Elders, Brigham, Young, John, Taylor, Willard, Richards, which 3 gentlemen had the superintendency of the storing for the company, arrived as did Elder Hiram Clark, the president for the voyage. After the emigrants were called to order by B. Brigham, Young and silence being attained, the company was ordered to be on board by 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, and all those that had not paid their full passage money or deposited £2 towards their provision would be put on shore, luggage and all. Those that had not done so was ordered to go immediately to 72, Burlington Street. They would have to abide the consequences. There were several that were compelled to borrow. Proctor was forced to pawn his clothes. Sunday, February 7, 1841. About 8 o'clock Elders B. Brigham, Young, John, Taylor and Willard, Richards in company with Hiram Clark came on board. All was now in an uproar. The captain, R.K. Porter, a very nice little man, gave his orders about 10 o'clock. The ship was on her move. The shore was lined spectators with a fine breeze. Soon, page 2, carried us down the River Mersey. Soon we was out of sight of Liverpool. Many of the company now made for their berths, feeling somewhat uncomfortable. Wind continuing fine all day and night. February 8, 1841. Weather fair, nothing particular. Stores delivered unto the camp. Most sick in berths. February 9. Wind brisk about 6 o'clock. Wind changes from NE to SW. Blow fresh all night. Saw a sail. February 10. A sloop in sight, her bulwarks chattered, hove to. Inquiring her road, having been at sea 11 days, laid to 5 days, driven to the Land's End, bound from Liverpool for London. In the course of the day a fine American showed her colors from New Orleans for Liverpool. February 11. Some passengers received aboard towards evening. One of the passengers from Preston, a woman dangerous ill, died about 12:30 o'clock. Several of the ship's crew came to look at her, as she was the first that died on board the Sheffield. One of our own company sewed her up in a sheet. Buried about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Towards 6 o'clock wind ahead, blows fresh, increases to a hurricane. Elder H. Hiram Clark just making some remarks on the burial of our beloved sister, the ship heaving most tremendously, tubs rolling about, pans, kettles and cans all in a uproar, women shrieking, children crying, all hastening to their berths. Wind continued all night right ahead, very strong. February 13, 1841. Wind continued ahead. Blows fresh, rain. February 14, 1841. Able prayer at evening. February 15. Fine wind. Ships in its proper course. All cheery and merry. Heavy squall. February 16. Wind continues favorable, changes towards evening, blows fresh all night. February 17. Wind favorable. Cook neglecting his duty got flogged 24 lashes, having too much liquor given him by the company. Toward evening, wind changes right ahead. Ship heaving all night, 3 o'clock changes favorable. February 18. Fine morning, favorable all day, night calm. February 19. Fine morning, wind SE continues all day. February 20. Becalmed, some uneasiness respecting the fire. Calm all day, wind changes toward evening, wind ahead continues all night. Sunday, February 21, 1841. Fine morning ahead, wind calm towards 11 o'clock, the whole company ordered on deck by Elder Hiram Clark. Meeting commences, Elder T. Thomas Walmsley opening, page 3, the service by singing a hymn, prayer, another hymn. Brother FLYM then addressed the company for a short time, Elder Riley following, then Elder Hiram Clark. Singing again, then breaking the bread and handing the cup. It was truly a time of refreshing weather, particular calm, some of the ship's crew drawing the darts at some fish towards 2 o'clock, ship in sight. Very little wind right ahead. February 22. Calm wind ahead, foggy. Towards 1 o'clock a shower, all day towards evening wind changes favorable, SW all night. February 23. Wind favorable, fine morning. Royal mast up, foremost topsail 9.5 knots per hour. 2 of the company chosen to superintend the fire. Wind continues favorable all night, misting rain. February 24. Weather continues favorable. 1 child's foot scalded. Some murmuring respecting the price of provisions being charged too high. February 25. Weather continues fine, heavy rain at night. February 26. Fine morning, wind continues favorable. Superintend the fire. Murmuring continues. A vessel in sight. Some dispute between Mrs. Nightingale and Mrs. T. Thomas Walmsley. Wind changes at night to SW. February 27. Rainy morning. No wind. Changes towards noon. 1 lad is partly scalded. Favorable continues all night. Sunday, February 28, 1841. Fine morning. Hot sun. After breakfast, church assembles for preaching. Meeting opened by Elder Miles Romney, giving out hymn. Edward Martin preaches. M. Miles Rumley following, another hymn, then the bread and wine, Elder H. Hiram Clark addressing the church. Harvey Billsborough being scorched by the sun. March 1, 1841. Fine morning, hot sun, at night fine moon, shadows of the moon right down under the moon. Showery, no calm, wind gallant mast up, sky sail mast. March 2. Fine morning, sun hot, no wind, dead calm at night. Sailors beginning to paint the ship, calm towards evening. Drawing a tooth for the steward. March 3. Fine morning, hot sun, little breeze. Ship in sight at a distance. March 4. Hot morning, more than any hot summer's day in England. Ship in sight, draws near, her flag half-mast high. Discernible through the glass. The captain, page 4, thinking she is in distress, orders the sails down to wait for her, tacking about. Toward 4 o'clock, as she came nearer, the captain discovered his mistake, she being an American, having her color out in honor of the new president, General William Henry Harrison, taking the chair. When he discovered his mistake, he ordered the sail up again, almost dead calm. Quite calm at night. March 5. Fine morning, no wind, dead calm, ship steering SSE Proctor's child dies, the captain saying to Br. Miles Romney, there must be some unfortunate Jonas on board, as the ship is so become, which is quite a strange thing in this latitude. In the course of the day, some serious things took place, Elder Hiram Clark being charged with behaving himself unseemingly to Sister Marie Harmon and other females, some hard words passing between the parties. This is the first day that my wife missed being seasick. Weather continues calm. March 6. Becalmed. Fine morning. Wind NNW uneasiness continues. Toward evening vessel in sight at a distance. Wind changes any little breeze. Fine night. Sunday, March 7. Fine morning. After 10 o'clock the church meets. The captain having been so kind to order a sail to be spread for a covering against the sun which made it very comfortable. The meeting was opened by Elder Francis Clark giving out a hymn. John Hodgson addressing the meeting, Francis Clark following on the principles of righteousness and unrighteousness, particular alluding to the case of Elder Hiram Clark. After preaching, a hymn, then the bread and wine, before the bread was handed round Elder F. Francis Clark admonished if there was any that had to make any confession not to partake of the sacrament until they was reconciled. Elder H. Hiram Clark rose, said if there was any that felt offended at anything that he had done or said he begged their forgiveness. Many shed tears at his humility. His case was not put to a vote. It was asked whether there was anyone that had to say anything against anyone before the sacrament. The meeting broke up about 4 o'clock. Wind blows fresh from WNW towards night wind brisk. About 6 knots an hour. About 2 o'clock blows fresh. Mission sail hoisted. Sailors busy. March 8. Fine morning. Wind brisk. Ship going between 8 and 9 knots an hour. Hot day. Page 5, heavy rain at night. March 9. Fine morning. Ship on her course. Ship in sight ahead. Traveling about 18 knots. March 10. Fine morning, left the same ship that was 15 knots ahead. Passed her about 10 o'clock the previous evening 15 knots behind. Weather continues fine. Ship heaving, many sick. Robert Borskoff, an infant, died about 5 o'clock. March 11. Fine morning. Several rainbows, ship in sight Nisqually about 11 o'clock. The child was committed to the deep. Very squally. March 12. Fine day, blows fresh, the previous night about 12 o'clock. March 13. Fine day. March 14, 1841. Sunday morning, fine morning. About 8 o'clock Dissay Island to the south just discernible at the distance. Drawing very nigh. Towards 11 o'clock the church preparing for meeting. About 12 o'clock discovered Gao de Hope SW and a ship ahead on us. Richard Whitnell and T. Thomas Walmsley delivered some admonitions. The sacrament. About 1 o'clock St. Dominique Knee, about 2 o'clock Antigua to the SSW on us just visible at a great distance. Montserrat passing it about 11:30 at night. March 15. Early in the morning Street Christopher Kitts to the north on us. Fine morning. Beginning to paint the outside of the ship. This the first day that my wife moved about the fire. Some uneasiness amongst the sailors respecting some words the first mate use of to some passengers respecting the inability of the crew as seamen. March 16. Fine morning, breeze, ship at 9 knots an hour. Alice Standing and John Alston having words. Fine breeze all night. March 17. Fine morning. About 8 o'clock as the first mate came to the men to give orders about the painting, one of the men struck at him 3 times, the mate having threatened the previous night to split his skull for having pulled the sheet off him, and Alice Standing, a young woman from Preston. The captain came up with handcuffs to confine the offender, but some resistance being offered to him, he went to the cabin, fetched a sword and said he was determined to support his authority, and any of the men resisting him he would split him in 2 if he had strength in his arm. The offender went down to his place refusing to come up. Page 6, captain then said he would not hurt the hair off the head of any man except he was forced. He said, "Passengers, the ship is in a state of mutiny, look out, your wives' and children's life is in danger." He then went to the cabin, called for Elder Hiram Clark. Elder Clark came but calling the passengers on the after deck, He then said, "The captain wishes some to come forward as volunteers to stand by him in securing the offender." Hiram Clark said he was willing to take up arms. Richard Whitnell followed, Thomas Walmsley, James Bennett, John Hardman, William Gore. They, all 6 of them, went up to the captain's cabin when 6 stands of arms was brought out, charged and given to them. They then went up to the men's cabin, and the captain ordered the men to come to the quarter deck, when he again addressed them, and said it would be better for them, and he would advise them and the offender, as a friend, to deliver himself up peaceably. The offender then delivered himself up, when he was put in handcuffs and ordered to the longboat, which served as a place of confinement. Order was restored then, a number of the passengers finding fault with the parties that have taken up arms for doing so. March 18. Fine morning. Mrs. Whitnall delivered. Squally. Mrs. Standing, Nellying Arlen Standing, and several more having hard words on deck about 11 o'clock at night. March 19. Fine morning. Toward 9 o'clock, heavy squall. Wind SE turning NWW towards 2, wind abroad at night. Sea heavy, ship heaving. Santo Domingo to the NW. 20, squally, wind NW by W, and SEE brig in sight, comes up close, spoken to, her beam end dipping in the water. Jane of Halifax from Demerary, Jamaica, Toyne sight NW, 2 ships for Jamaica. About 4:30 a cry was raised, ship on fire, many of the passengers and crew hastening abaft, woman coming. Running to the forecastle, some crying, some almost fainting. This ship is on fire, some hastening with buckets and cans of water. It was soon discovered that there was no danger, the brandy cask having caught fire by Elder Hiram Clark, drawing some spirits, wanted to see how much there was, and so the accident happened. One man, George Scholes, by endeavoring to put it out, had his face very ill burnt. At night, close reefs being opposite Jamaica. Page 7, Sunday, March 21, 1841. About 6 o'clock, fine morning, close to Jamaica, very fine view of some coffee plantations. Ship in her course 1 o'clock, the mate having caught a fish called a barracuda, resembles a pike. Church meets at 10:30. Meeting opened by Elder Miles Hodson giving out a hymn, then praying and addressing the church. Robert Borscoff followed, then singing, Elder Hiram Clark addressing the church, while the bread and wine is handed around. Toward evening, squalls. March 22. Fine morning. Spoke the Julius of Plymouth, Gam, America, from Rio de Janeiro bound for New Orleans, cargo coffee. Miles Hodgson's wife delivered of a boy. March 23. Fine morn. No wind. Towards 4 o'clock a steamer in toward 5 o'clock something like trees in sight NW. Island called Grand Command and Little Command, a turtle fishery. 2 ships ahead, towards 8 o'clock, mate caught a dolphin, 4 feet 10 inches long. Calm at night. March 24. Fine morning. Saints on the 2 ships, left them about 7 o'clock. March 25. Fine morning. Mate caught a dolphin. Some hard words passing between James Proctor and Standing families. Passing the island of Cuba and Port Anthony at night. March 26. Fine morning. Entered the Gulf of Mexico. Mate caught a dolphin. Began to divide the provisions. March 27. Fine morning, great uneasiness, the price of provisions. March 28. About 2 o'clock the anchor chain was brought out, preparations being made for anchoring, the remainder of the provisions being divided, toward evening wind brisk, midnight wind ahead. March 29, 1841. Cool morning. Towards 6 o'clock described the steamer coming out, towards 7 o'clock, another steamer coming, also a pilot belonging to the first steamer. About 8 o'clock steamer and pilot close to, the pilot came on board the steamer, Tennessee, taking in tow. Wind right ahead. Past the bar about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock the Shark steamer brought a fine ship out, a lighthouse SSW. The pilot steamer close us tow cast anchor about 2 o'clock, the government officer coming on board, calling the names of the seamen. We went up the Mississippi in grand style. Majestic, page 8, river, passed for Jackson, about 10 o'clock at night. March 30. Fine frosty morning, past the English turn many fine plantations, Negroes at work. About 3 o'clock past the barracks, cast anchor about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. As soon as the ship was fastened, Richard with Nall, myself and many more went on shore. A number of men came on board. Several of the passengers made purchases on provisions. At night, as there was many strangers on board, we agreed amongst ourselves 2 men to watch at each hatchway for 2 hours in their turn. March 31. Fine frosty morning. It was quite a change, having been melted with heat for the last 4 weeks. Now many complained about cold. The day passed away in going into the city, making purchases, looking about, etc. Cleaned both mates' teeth. Provisions and every other article being remarkable dear. In the afternoon, it was reported the steward had the cook taken up to sell him, New Orleans in Louisiana being one of the chief slave states. Mr. Hiram Clark, having been with the captain to the costume house, brought permits to pass us. April 1, 1841. A heavy rain, thunder and lightning. No fire on board, no breakfast. At 9 o'clock all the heads of families went to the costume house to get permits, pay 10. About noon the costume house officer came to inspect the luggage. All was now in uproar, every one hastening to secure their luggage, the rain coming down in torrents. The luggage and passengers all were on board about 6 o'clock. As soon as all got on board the steamer Moravian for Quincy, she began to blow her steam to go up the river to take in some salt. Having had nothing warm all day, the company was preparing for cooking. About 9 o'clock the mate came around to order our sleeping places. We had iron rails for bedstead, all being huddled together. Some slept in hammocks, others was forced to sit up all night, having no place, some 6 and 7 sleeping in a bed. Rainy day and night. April 2nd. Soon in the morning all was life, a number going on shore making purchases, bought a tongue for 15 pecans. 3 of the brethren from Nauvoo came on board. About 2 o'clock in the afternoon the steamer was loosened from her moorings, and Orleans was soon lost to our sight, being a foggy day. We went on pleasantly. Page 9. Many fine houses and gardens presented themselves to our view. Towards 7 o'clock wood was taken in again. April 3. Rainy morning, thundering and lightning, past a fine settlement close to Plumine River, about 150 miles NW of the Gulf of Mexico. About 8 o'clock at night, being very foggy, stayed to take in wood. Several Negroes coming on board, some with vegetables, eggs, apples, pies, etc., a fire kindled on shore. Sunday, April 4, 1841. Fine morning. Stayed to take in wood, also about 11 took in wood. 6 o'clock past Fort Adams, a neat little town on the right bank situated under a hill. April 5. Fine morning. Past Natchez about 6 o'clock, a neat town, took wood. About 7 o'clock Rodney, a small town on the left bank of the river, a grand gulf on the right side, a very neat town, Littlewood at evening. April 6. Fine morning, about 6 o'clock landed at Vicksburg, onto a pier of the river, an imposing town built upon rising ground, courthouse built upon a hill. Numerous turtles upon the shore. One of the company killed a serpent 2 yards long. April 7. Fine morning, wood twice, Negroes with eggs. April 8. Fine morning, past several plantations, fine wood. Towards 7 o'clock at evening passengers came running from the foredeck aloft, all were hastening to the top crying the boat is sinking. Some of the crew draw buckets full of water for the pumps, the boat having been snaked, the mate hastening with a lantern in the hold to ascertain if there was any damage done, but it was soon known there was no danger. About 8 o'clock a town Helena landed. Bought some provisions. David Harrison falling overboard is caught up by a bucket being drawn to him. April 9. Fine morning, took wood, past Fort Pickering, a new town on the east side of the river. 2 miles above is Memphis, a neat little place on a hill. Went ashore, boat discharged some salt, stayed about 2 hours. Toward 9 o'clock the sky began to lower. At midnight it thundered and the lightning illuminating the objects around us, page 10, for many a mile. At the same time a terrific storm shook the boat, the captain and his men being frightened almost out of their wits, sparks of fire flying about in the storage. Many of the passengers were awakened by the fear of fire. The captain gave orders to stop the engine and make for the land until daylight appeared, the cook's window being blown out of the kitchen. It was terrifying. Broke all the windows in the tophouse, wheelhouse. April 10. A cool morning. Randolph, a small town on the east side of the river. I saw several houses down, uprooted trees, etc. April 11, 1841. Very cool. Many were forced to put their winter clothes on. April 12. Sunday, fine, cool day. At night the wheels were repaired. April 13. Very fine sunny morning. Cleaned 4 passengers' teeth. Landed at Cairo, a English town where Mr. and Mrs. Gregson, a Miss Nightingale, left the boat for Cincinnati. A young man Harrison, one of the passengers, being taken for murder. Cleaned a gentleman's teeth. Learned about Mr. William Henry Harrison's, the President of the United States, death. At night passed Cape Girardeau, a neat town on the left in Missouri. April 14. Fine morning, passed a rock large, the Devil's Oven, in the midst of the river, high hills on the left bank. April 15, 1841. A fine morning, passed many delightful places, some mills, hewn in the rock, for the manufacture of shot. As we went up the river, St. Louis presented itself to our view with 2 large spires on the churches, one building ranging above the rest. It was a hotel called the American Hotel. About 12 o'clock at noon we reached the city, a truly pleasant place. Such a confusion was now on board, merchants' clerk coming inquiring for letters for their houses, drovers coming with their whips wanting to carry luggage, but the chief mate of the Moravian gave orders none to come in among the passengers. Negroes on like business, boys with apples, fruit, hardware, jewelry, eggs, and C. In the course of an hour the boat was more cleary. Passengers now went on shore. One sister from Preston, having left England the summer before, having heard that a boat had arrived with passengers from England, came on board. It was a time of rejoicing to many to meet with old acquaintances in, page 11, a foreign and distant land. She invited many of the sisters to her habitation, her husband a mechanic being in employ here. In the course of the day many hastened to the various stores for provisions and other articles. A boat for the upper trade was engaged for to carry us to our destination. About 3 o'clock the Goddess of Liberty, a fine new-built boat carrying 400 tons, drawing 2 feet of water, came alongside of us. Our luggage was carried from the Moravian into her. Again there was confusion, all being crowded together more than ever. Berths being prepared, but as there was not room for above half the number of passengers, many were forced to sit up. It was a very cold night. About 20 of our company went on shore, many engaged for various employments. April 16, 1841. A delightful spring morning. About 8 o'clock preparations were made for starting the boat, taking in her cargo. At 11 o'clock the fire was kindled, and at 1 o'clock the engines were in motion. We went up the Mississippi in fine style. Many a fine village lay in the way. At 3 o'clock we came to Dalton, a driving need on a hill. Also the town has a state's prison, a neat building of white limestone. We stayed here a few minutes, and then went on, took wood. About 4 o'clock on the right side of the river of Illinois, fine rocky mountains. Toward 11 o'clock the sky began to lower. Thunder and lightning with heavy rain. April 17, 1841. Rainy morn. At 11 o'clock reached a neat little town on the left bank in Missouri, Hannibal, discharged some goods, land at a Missouri, Louisiana, Quincy, Illinois, a driving places, LaGrange, Missouri, Warsaw on the right bank at the foot of the rapids of the Mississippi, Keokuk, ? Opposite Warsaw, where we met some of those who had emigrated some time before. When we reached here, the captain here ascertained that he could not go higher up the Mississippi. He engaged a keelboat to take us up with the first steamboat that was coming up. All goods was now discharged, the boat being cleared. April 18, 1841. Fine morning, no boat, began to rain. Hiram Clark went up to Nauvoo. Returned on Sunday in company with his wife and daughter. A steamboat, the Astor, came along, page 12, side. She carried us up to Nauvoo, the place of our destination. All the goods belonging to the company was here discharged. A number of the brethren was ready to receive us. They kindly offered their houses. Many slept in a large stone building belonging to one of the brothers. Myself and William Gross, with some others, kept up a large fire all night and stayed with our luggage. Some of the brethren that had come here before us kept us company. Early in the morning a number of the brethren came to inquire whether all of us had obtained habitations. We got in very comfortably with a brother. April 20. After having made some arrangement in our luggage, went to see several of the brethren. April 21, 1841. Was in company at B.R. Thompson's with Joseph Smith, came to order some false corals for his wife, asked about some land, if I had means could get plenty. Saw Sister H. Smith Thompson, N.C. April 22. Went to see B.R. Thompson about some land, promised I should have some. April 23. Fine day. Went to the office of Thompson where some of the B.R. Kings was to be tried for felony. A wagon having been taken from the premises of the marshal of the city which he had secured from King. King was taken in custody for the same, but after being examined before the mayor was discharged. Prepared some wood for fencing. April 24. Fine day, went to see a bro, Kramer, a German. Thunder toward afternoon with heavy shower. Militia trained. Rain, thunder and lightning at night. April 25. Showery forenoon, went to the preaching in the open air, a fine spot of land near Temple Thea platform for the speakers, seats prepared for the congregation. B.R. John C. Bennett spoke first in respect to his profession, all character being injured by some of those who profess to be saints. B.R. Law followed on the principles of righteousness and unrighteousness, there having been some depredations being committed by some that once had been saints but was cut off from the church for misconduct. Elder Joseph Smith, the prophet, followed in very strong language, determined to put down all iniquity. About 1 o'clock the meeting broke up for about an hour in the, page 13, afternoon. Assembled again. The meeting was addressed by Elder Green on the principles of the gospel until 4 o'clock when the meeting broke up. After the meeting the Nauvoo Legion was called to come and volunteer for secret service in detecting thieves, and c. April 26. Cool day. Went to work for J. Joseph Smith casting up a train. April 27. Fine cool morning. Got some pigs' heads with many more of the brethren from Brother Snyder's smokehouse. April 28. Fine morning. Saw Thompson got 1/4 of a lot to fence in and build. Heavy rain, thunder and lightning all afternoon and all night. April 28. Rainy morning, cold night. April 29 and 30 fine day. May 1, 1841. David Wilsing and company came. May 2. Fine day, heard Lyman White preach on election and approbation. May 3. Cool day. B.R. Miles Hodgson died. May 4. Cool day. May 6. Cool day. May 7. Fine day, James Nixon died. May, Sunday, 10. Fine day. Elder Joseph Smith preached from 9th chapter of Romans on the principles of election. May 22, 1841. 8 minutes to 8 o'clock in the morning my wife was brought to bed of a girl. May 25. Sowed corn, planted potatoes, beans. May 29. William, Moss and Company arrive from England. May 30. J. Joseph Smith preached from the last 2 chapters of Chronicles. June 1st. Moved into my house. Brother Joseph Smith in company with Br. John C. Bennett, the mayor, accompanied elders Hiram Smith and William Law to Quincy, when the high sheriff of that county arrested having a writ from the Missourian government. On Saturday evening when word reached Nauvoo, many of the Br went on horseback to see him. When Br. Joseph Smith, in company with the officers, came up to Nauvoo as he was to have his trial before Circuit Judge Stephen A. Douglas, who lives 60 miles up the county, but there was a flaw in the indictment and so the devil was disappointed. June 3rd. Was forced to leave work on account of very severe sickness. In the course of a few days went almost to a skeleton, but faith in the Almighty and the strong cries of some of the elders, I feel myself out of danger. Blessed be the name of the Lord God of Israel. Page 14, June 21, 1841. Br. William Blackhurst and a number more from England arrived by New York about the latter end of this month. Elders Brigham Young, Heber C. Kimball, and John Taylor arrived. Many of the English brethren sick, and a number died. July 4, 1841, the day of American independence. On the 1 and 2 a number of strangers from a distance came into the city, some on horseback, others in large wagons drawn by oxen, others in very fine teams. Early on the 4th all was live. The Nauvoo Legion, mostly draped and equipped in full uniform, met at the place of rendezvous. About 3 o'clock the artillery announced the arrival of the Lieutenant General. On the whole it was a grand muster. August 7th. Elder Don C. Carlos Smith was interred with military honor. August 12th. A tribe of Indians came over the Mississippi with their chief Keokuk at their head. They were in their full dress, also their squaws. They were received by the mayor of Nauvoo with a bank of music, the chief officers of the Nauvoo Legion in their uniform, and a number of the citizens joining in procession. October 1st. Conference. November 27, 1841. Snow and frost. English landed. 1842. March 15, 1842. Installation of Nauvoo Masonic Lodge, Grand Master Jonas, present. March 27. English landed. April 6, 1842, Special Conference, English landed, Whitehead. May 7th. Grand Parade. May 17th. English landed. May 18th. English landed. July 4, 1842. Celebration of American Independence. Grand Parade of Nauvoo Legion. For companies from Burlington come down on a steamboat. July 15. Reported Orson Pratt, one of the 12 missing. All the citizens turned out in search of him. 1844, June 27, Joseph and Hiram Smith, murdered in Carthage jail. 1845, January 18, 1845. Ordained under the hands of Elder W. Russell and Elder John Taylor to be one of the 70. January 9th to 11th. The letter from my parents. 1845, May 24th. Top stone of the Nauvoo Temple laid. 1844, page 15, May 24th, 1844. Called at J. Joseph Smith 10 o'clock found, took dinner, read German. After dinner met the Fox and Sac Indians, danced their war dance. Called at Brother J. S. Joseph Smith's. Met Mr. Bonney. Brother Joseph Smith told us the first call he had a revival meeting. His mother, brother and sisters got religion. He wanted to get religion too. He wanted to feel and shout like the rest but could feel nothing. He opened his Bible. Of the first passage that struck him was James 1 verse 5. If any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God, who giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not. He went into the woods to pray, kneels himself down, his tongue was closed, cleaving to his roof, could utter not a word, but felt easier after a while. He saw a fire toward heaven, came near and nearer. He saw a personage in the fire, light complexion, blue eyes, a piece of white cloth drawn over his shoulders, his right arm bare. After a while another person came to the side of the first. Mr. Joseph Smith then asked, "Must I join the Methodist Church?" "No, they are not my people. They have gone astray, there is none that doeth good, not one, but this is my beloved Son, hearken ye him." The fire drew nigher, rested upon the tree, enveloped him. Comforted, I endeavored to arise but felt uncommon feeble. 1. Got into the house and told the Methodist priest, who said this was not an age for God to reveal himself in vision. Revelation has ceased with the New Testament. Told about William Law. William wished to be married to his wife for eternity. Mr. Joseph Smith would inquire of the Lord, answered no because Law was an adulterous person. Mrs. Law wanted to know why she could not be married to Mr. Law. Mr. Joseph Smith said he would not wound her feelings be telling her. Some days after, Mr. Joseph Smith going toward his office. Mrs. Law stood in the door, beckoned to him. The once did not know whether she beckoned to him, went across to inquire. "Yes, please to walk in, no one but herself in the house," she drawing her arms around him. "If you won't seal me to my husband, seal myself unto you," he said. Stand away, and pushing her gently aside, giving her a denial and going out. When Mr. William Law came home, he inquired who had been in his absence. She said no one but Br. Joseph. He then demanded what had passed. Mrs. L. Law then told Joseph wanted her to marry him to read German, went to dinner, after dinner read again while 3 o'clock. Page 16, May 25. Being engaged all day. May 26, Sunday, 1844. Saw him in the morning, preached about false Br. May 27. Went to Carthage for trial. May 28, 1844. Saw Mr. Joseph Smith at 9 o'clock. Read while dinner. Dined and then went up in the buggy to the Nauvoo Temple. June 2, saw Mr. S. Joseph Smith, all forenoon, wife sick. Read German all forenoon. June 3. Engaged City Council. June 4. Read all forenoon. June 7. Read. June 8. City Council. Mr. Peck stated Jackson wanted him to engage in the bogus business. Refused. Joseph Smith would be the last man he would name it to. June, Sunday 9. Read all forenoon. Took dinner with underscore 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 underscore. June 10. City Council order the Nauvoo Expositor Press to be destroyed. Consider it a nuisance. June 12, 1844. General Smith tried on a writ issued by Mr. Morrison of Carthage at the instance of F. Francis M. Higby. Trial before municipal court on a writ of corpus habeas proved to be a malicious persecution, acquitted. June 13 to 17, 1844. Moore tried for assisting in a riot, David Norton taken up on a charge of firing the Expositor Press. A gentleman from Missouri stated David Whitmer bore testimony to him in private of the truth of the Book of Mormon. Joseph read German in the afternoon. June 15. Engaged. Sunday, June 16, 1844. Joseph Smith preached from one revelation on the plurality of God. June 16. Trial before SQR, Daniel H. Wells, a county magistrate on charge of riot. June 17. Joseph Smith and others charged before SQR, Daniel H. Wells on a charge of riot. Discharged. June 19. Nauvoo Legion ordered out. June 20 to 21. Legion trained in the afternoon. Messenger arrived from Carthage. June 22, 1844. Nauvoo Legion dismissed. Messenger arrived from the governor, Thomas Ford, to demand Joseph, Hiram and others. Messenger said could be bailed. Joseph and Hiram Smith, gone. Returned. June 23. Went to Carthage to be tried. June 25, 1844. Novu, Legion trained. June 26. Trained. June 27, 1844. Governor, Thomas, Ford come to Nauvoo. Joseph and Hiram Smith assassinated. June 28, 1844. Both corpses brought into Nauvoo. June 29, 1844. Both corpses exhibited from 10.5 to 3.5. Removed to the burial ground at 5 o'clock. 1846, January 5, 1846. Received endowment. January 22, 1846. Sealed to my wife. January 24, 1846. Mrs. Seibel received endowment. Address Joseph Whitfield Grida Mills, Huddersfield, Yorkshire, England. 1845. Page 17, City of Joseph, September 10, 1845. Reported by some of the brethren from Lima, the mob having commenced to destroy property by burning houses and driving them from their possessions. September, Monday 15, 1845. Brethren with their teams going to fetch grain in from the brethren. September 16, 1845. Sheriff, Jacob B. Backenstows issuing proclamation calling a posse to suppress riot, the sheriff pursued by the mob. Franklin A. Whirl, one of the mob, Carthage, shot. September 17, 1845. 100 men turned out from the city with the sheriff against the mob. 2 killed, 1 wounded of the myself with 29 more of the BR volunteered as a guard. BR Stephen Markham with 50 more men turned out. Sheriff's second proclamation. 29 BR turning out with the sheriff third proclamation. September 19, 1845. Preparation for war. September 20. Camp going to Warsaw, myself amongst them. Returned the same night, mob fled to Missouri. September 21, 1845. Preaching by Br. Brigham Young. At evening, white flag hoisted, signal guns fired, stood guard. September 22. John Scott going to Carthage with a company. Stood guard. September 23. Guard gun repaired 75 cents. September 24, 1845. The 12 going out to Carthage to trial on a writ of treason, returned being discharged, the witness against them a Dutchman, not knowing anything about them being persuaded to it by the mob party. Stood guard. September 25, 1845. Reported the governor being on his way to restore peace. Mormons to leave for California the coming spring. September 26. Sharif's 5 proclamation. Father Cahoon taking names for formation of companies going to California. Stood guard. September 27. Went to see President Brigham Young, said none should be left that wanted to go. Stood guard. September 28. Reported governor's troops are at Carthage. September 29. Nothing particular. September 30. Governor's troops under command of General Harding. October 1st. Troops parading in Nauvoo. Governor Ford in town. October 2. Troops left Nauvoo after viewing the temple. October 3. Nothing transpired. October 4. Put my name on Captain Peter Hawes' list for to go with the church whither the Lord intends us to go. Page 18, October 5, Sunday. Preaching in the Nauvoo Temple. Prayer by President Brigham Young making a few remarks, Father John Smith following him advising the saints in regard to health. P. Parley, P. Pratt and W. Willard Richards on the same subject. Elder John Taylor speaking on the persecution, sufferings and trials of the people of God. Names of the first, second, third list read. Meeting adjourned 1.5 hour met in the afternoon. names called of the first list. The 12 and others agreed to give up all to help on the saints that are poor. 1-2-3-4 list made out every camp to furnish 5 teams to work on the temple during the winter. October 6. Conference commenced. Those brethren that were burned out by the mob made affidavit before J.S. Higby-Asker. The presidency tried before the church. B.R. Brigham Young, president of the 12, accepted H.C. Heber C. Kimball, O. Orson, Hyde, P. Parley, P. Pratt accepted William Smith, opposed by P. Because he was an aspiring man and don't favor the doctrine of ______________. Not a hand lifted in his favor. John Page, Willard Richards, W. Wilford, Woodruff, John Taylor, George A. Smith accepted L. White, B.R. Allman Babbitt opposed the case to be laid over. Amasa Lyman accepted. Williard Richard confirmed as historian of the church. Father John Smith continued president of this stake, Charles Rich counselor, the other officers Bishop Newell K. Whitney and George Miller, trustees continued. October 7. Discourse by P. Parley, P. Pratt, G. George A. Smith and others, the church covenants to help all the saints along. The 70 met, addressed by Elder Heber C. Kimball and Amasa Lyman. In the afternoon, horsemen coming in town to search for stolen property took B.R. Benjamin Gardner and B.R. Smith as prisoners for stealing. October 11. Regiments ordered to meet. Met at Colonel Hale, preaching and imploring the Lord to have mercy upon us and protect us from the hands of our enemies. Dismissed at 9 o'clock in the evening. October 19, 1845. O. Orson, Hyde preached, letters read of William Smith, cut off from church. 1846, February 8, 1846. B.R. Brigham Young, H.C. Heber C. Kimball, P. O. Parley, P. and Orson. Pratt, John Taylor, O. Orson, Hyde preached their farewell address in Nauvoo previous to their departure for the West, exhorting the saints to be faithful and have patience. Those that are left behind the Lord would bless, and they soon should follow. February, Monday 9, 1846. They intended to cross the Mississippi. May 1, 1846. Dedication of the Nauvoo Temple. Page 19, June 9, 1846. Mob commencing again. June 12, 1846. Brethren called together in Nauvoo Temple. Returned from camp. 13 and 14 training brethren to watch day and night the temple. Mob retired to strengthen themselves. BR and citizens dismissed for time being. July 3. Mob again. July 4, 1846. Mob lynching some of the brethren and a new certain harvesting for Amos David Br. A certain going out as a posse to arrest mob. SQR Moley and F. Francis Higby with 13 others brought in prisoners. Br. Phineas Young, Brigham Young his son, Br. Richard, Ballantyne and a new certain being taken prisoners by the mob. Br. Going out to search for the Br. July 20. Sheriff from McDonough County coming to make arrests for trespass. July 23, 1846. Reported Phineas Young to be dead. August 30, 1846. Temple bell rings. September 1st. Training up to 9th. September 10. Mob advanced toward Joseph's farm, fire 3 cannon. Shots at night quartered at SQR, Daniel H. Wells. September 11. Mob moved north toward William Law's field firing 35 cannon balls, myself being placed in a cornfield opposite Hiram's farm to spring a mine. 2 forts erected in the night. September 12, 1846. Mob makes an attack to get into Nauvoo. Br. William Anderson and his son and Br. Morris belonging to the 5th Quorum of 70 being shot, Br. Whitehead and 2 others wounded, the mob being repelled with a number of wounded. September 13 to 14. Quit Committee from Quincy, a proposal of peace. September 15, 16, 1846. Peace made the Mormons to deliver up arms and clear in 5 days the trustees and clerks to stay while next spring. September 17, 1846. Crossed Mississippi River to Montrose, Iowa. Stayed 1 week. Brother Fuller taking us 1.5 miles west of Farmington. Stayed 4 weeks. Moved to Bonaparte. Stayed until June 24th. Br staking taking us on to Bluffs Council journeyed first day 4 miles on the prairie. Brother rode back let us have a yoke of steers to help us along as we had not team enough. Got some jobs at Benton's Point. Left on June 29, 1846. Jobs at Stringtown Soap Creek, Gray's Mill. Reached Mount Pisgah July 9th. Br held a celebration, stayed until July 11. Started in company with Br Billington and Coffin. Br Tidwell and Whitfield overtook us, met some Potawatomi Indians. Got venison. Reached Father, page 20, James Allred's camp. July 21 to 22, 1846. Rested. July 23. Went to Treading Point Indian Settlement. July 24. Br Tidwell and myself went up to Winter Quarter, stayed while after meeting next day being Sunday. July 25. Moved to Winter Quarters, lived in Br Bullock's house. September 30, 1846. Indians taking horses, a number of the Br following in pursuit unsuccessful. October 3, 1846. Phineas Young returned from the West. October 21. The Pioneers with the ox teams return. October 24. A Br bringing report the 12 would be in the course of the day. October 25, 1846. Br John Pack preached giving a description of the Valley of the Saints. October 28, 1846. Amasa Lyman, one of the 12, returns to Winter Quarters with intelligence that the pioneers wanted some provisions and corn to be sent to them as their horses were spent for want of feed. October 30. Some teams going out with corn and provisions meet the camp on the Horn about sundown. October 31. Pioneers came into Winter Quarters. I went to see President Brigham Young and the 12. November 2, 1846. A number of the brethren by a special invitation met at Br Willard Richards. Br Richards gave a description of the journey to the valley, the name of the city, the great city of the Great Salt Valley. November 30th. Meeting at Br.W. Richards, Willard, spoke on the principle of adoption. December 12, 1846. My wife confined, child dead, the power of God and the priesthood made bare in a wonderful manner. Praised be the Lord God of Israel for his mercies towards me and mine. I want my children to remember this day. 1848, February 19, 1848. Started from Winter Quarters on a journey to Missouri to get a fit out for the mountains. Went to St. Joseph. Returned by Savannah and Oregon, reached Winter Quarters April 1st. April 12. Went to Fort Kearny, returned April 30th. Prepared for the journey to the Great Salt Lake, got 2 wagons, 1 yoke of oxen from Widow Knight, 1 yoke of oxen of Br Joseph Young.